Okay. All right. Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel. I did a renovation in my house. We had linoleum floors and they were really old. And my mom was like, I really just want to rip them up, polish the concrete and stain it. I always see that in different places and I think it looks nice. So I want to do that. And so she talked to some contractors to try and get it done, but it just seemed really expensive, like thousands of dollars to get it done. And I said, I'm pretty sure that I could probably do it. So I watched some YouTube videos and I did it. Now, I didn't do it perfectly. I didn't do it. I mean, I'm sure if I was a professional contractor, I don't know if someone would accept this work, but I did do it good enough. I think we are going to have to go back and make a few changes because some of the seal, I'll get into all that stuff later. But I didn't see a video like this that really explained in detail how much does it cost, how long does it take, yada, yada, yada. So I made this presentation and then I'm going to intersect it with some clips that I took while I was doing it. I did it over this past Memorial Day weekend. And I'm really hoping that this is going to help you guys. If you want to rip up the old linoleum in your kitchen and you want to polish and stain the concrete so it can be easier for you to manage because you're getting older or whatever, then hopefully this video will help you. And please like and subscribe if you think this video is helpful. Okay, so now onto the presentation. So this is what I made in the before, the plan and budget. So let me see. Okay, so step one is remove the linoleum and the adhesive. So what you're gonna need to do this is a floor scraper, blades for the floor scraper. Most floor scrapers will come with blades inside of it. So you'll get the one blade inside of the scraper, and then you'll have one like pack of blades on the inside. So you twist off the bottom and then inside is where the extra blades are. I bought more blades because I thought they messed up, but they didn't. It's just on the inside, okay? You'll need adhesive remover, a mop, a bucket, a dish soap. And as you can see on the slide, I had budgeted out per step. So for all of that stuff, the scrapers, the blades, the adhesive remover, the mop, the bucket, the dish soap, and I bought all new everything because I didn't know how the chemicals and stuff would affect everything and what I was gonna have to throw away, what I would be able to keep. So I just bought all new everything. You pull up the linoleum. So when I was pulling it, I could just rip it up like that, but you may need the blade to sort of scrape it at the edges. Then you'll use a chemical remover to remove the adhesive. Okay, and then you want to clean the floors. And I will, well, I'll do that in the next step. So that's the plan, right? So that's what you want to do. So the next step is you want to fill in any cracks or holes. So if you have big cracks or big holes in the concrete, once you rip up that floor, you want to take some concrete remover, you want to put it in, make it level, and then you want to sand the floor. This is a small sander that I thought I was going to be able to use on the concrete, but I was not able to do that. I rented the sander. I would recommend renting it. Don't buy it unless you have, like, I guess, a lot of stuff. It was pretty affordable. And then you want to clean the floors again. Very important. You got to keep cleaning these floors. Then you want to etch the floor. So you'll use a chemical etcher. Basically, you pour it onto the ground, you scrub it in, and then you rinse it off. You need etching solution, a brush to brush it in, and then also you have to clean the floors again. This step, oh, I didn't even say the last step. The last step will cost about $70. This step should cost about $45. Okay. Then the fourth step is you want to apply the stain. So originally I had planned to use a spray pump. That changed, but we'll get into that. And you want to apply the stain and then let it dry. And then you want to do the seal. So you seal it, give it that glossy look like in the picture. These are just all pictures I pulled off Google. And you roll the seal into the floor, you let it dry, and then you clean it again. And that costs about $200. I thought it would cost $200, okay? So those were the 5 steps and how much I thought it was going to cost. So I thought it was going to cost me $600 and I thought I would need 2 days. All right. Now let's get into the reality. So step 1, remove linoleum and adhesive. So this is what my floors look like. So as you can see, the linoleum is old. We had already started tearing up the linoleum a little bit because it started coming off. So in this, I guess it'd be your right hand side, you can see where that adhesive is still on the floor. So you see the white linoleum and then what the adhesive looks like under it. So if your floors are really old, it'll probably be that when you take up the linoleum, the adhesive will stay. So that's kind of what it looked like. All right, so as you can see, we have torn up most of the floor. It's pretty much gone. Um, Most of the edges came off, but some of the edges have not come off super well. I'll show you like that edge. That edge is pretty clean, but like right there is not so great. We still need to move the refrigerator and get that up, which still don't really know how I'm gonna do that, to be honest. Over here, oh, I see these edges are not so good. I sprayed some water on them, hoping that's gonna loosen them up. And under the washer as well. And then in here, the edges are not super clean. So I sprayed them with water and then we're gonna try again. All right, you guys, so this is what the subfloor looks like after you do the adhesive stripper. So I think it actually softened this top layer of concrete. You see there's this bottom layer and then there's this layer, which I think is like, I guess that's still grease or something. I don't even know. So I'll maybe have to do it again tomorrow, the same area, but that's concrete right there. That's the bottom. So ideally, tomorrow we're gonna make this whole floor look like that. You can see this area, we totally stripped the concrete. It's gone. Or the adhesive, it's gone. So this is just what the concrete looks like, or looked like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whenever they poured it. So we've got all the way over here. And then this is what you see, this kind of like layer of goo is actually the adhesive stripper. So I'm about to get that all up off the floor, and then it's gonna look like over here. And then I'm gonna move on to underneath this table in this area. And then I'm gonna do the fridge kind of all at once. But yeah, this is basically taking me all damn day. And my mom helped a little bit, but now she's asleep, so we back solo. But yeah. So then once we ripped it up, applied the adhesive remover, let it sit, scraped it all up, this is what the floors look like. So from this to this. On the far side of the screen, you'll see the blade. I was getting in there so much with the blade scraper that the blade actually came out. Once it did that, I just took the blade out and just replaced it because that kind of scared me. But yeah, so that's what it looks like when you remove the linoleum and the adhesive. All right, so then the sander. So I thought if we go back, I thought I'd be able to get a small sander like that. I'm pointing to the screen because someone said I guess I don't have to do that. I thought I'd get a small sander like this. And I was like, okay, it looks handheld. I watched a YouTube video. I was like, okay, I can do that. When I went to the hardware store to rent it, the guy was like, oh, the sander that you want actually doesn't work on concrete. You need a sander like this, which was a big sander. So I was worried, but I just said, fuck it, like I'm gonna do it. So I rented it and it took me a while to get the hang of it, but eventually I got it and I'll include some videos. If you have to get a sander like this, don't be scared. It's very powerful. And when you figure out how to turn it on, you're gonna be like, whoa, I don't know if I could do this. But just keep going. And after about 20 minutes, you'll figure it out. All right. Then we etched the floors. Etching the floors was kind of a big mess because my kitchen doesn't have a drain anywhere on the floor. So like rinsing, like doing the etching and rinsing it and trying to get all that water out of the kitchen was like a huge process. We destroyed a bunch of towels in the process. So if your kitchen doesn't have a drain on the floor, before you etch it, make a plan of how you're going to get the water off of the floor. So are you going to use rags to soak it up and wipe it down? Do you have enough rags and enough towels for that? Because we did not. So we ended up destroying some towels and destroying some t-shirts. Are you going to bucket it, use a bucket and scoop it out? Just whatever it is, figure out how you're going to get the water off of the floor. This is very important. All right, so then we applied the stain. So originally, I thought that I was going to use an acid stain. I thought I was going to use the Eagle dye from Home Depot. I was going to get the acid stain and use the water sprayer and spray it onto the ground. As I was going through the process, I realized that a sprayer would not be good because my kitchen has some weird angles. It's got an island. I feel like it's not that big. I did not want to use a sprayer because I didn't want to get the dye on the counters, on the cabinets, and I didn't want to have to go through the process of covering and taping everything. I was getting really tired. At this point, I'm like on day 3. So I was like, fuck it. No, I need another option. And I didn't want to do the degreasing neutralizer. No, I did not want to do that. So I was looking for a water-based stain and I found these Valspar stains. I would recommend the Valspar. I thought they worked well. Um, I was cheap and didn't want to buy a big long roller because it was like $30. If I could go back in time, I probably would buy the big long roller because it would save my back a lot. I was really, really tired when I was rolling it out onto the ground, but I thought it worked well. Another thing, on some of the other sites, when I was looking at stains, they said that if you wanted to do a two-tone, put the darker color first and then put the lighter color. I thought I knew better, so I put the lighter color and then the darker color, and then I ended up having to do like 2 more coats of the lighter color just because it didn't take well. I used, from the Valspar colors, I used the butternut and I used the bonfire. So I did the butternut as a base, and then I did little spray paint dribbles of the bonfire to make sort of like a two-tone red and yellow kind of thing. And in the end, my mom didn't like it. So okay, so this is what the floor looks like now that I've stained it. So we put sort of like a light yellow kind of dusty stain on it with some red highlights, undertones type of things. And then I'm gonna put the glaze on it right now. I liked it. I thought it looked nice, but my mom didn't like it. So I'll show you what it looks like. So then you apply the seal, and after you apply the seal, um, this is basically what it looks like. On the one where it looks kind of white-ish, that's it was still wet. But this is what it looks like in the end, and you can kind of see where the red little sprays and stripes are at. I thought it added nice dimension, but my mom didn't really like it, so just be aware of that. I put it in a spray bottle that was like in a but so that's what it'll look like if you use that method. You could also use a water sprayer, you could paint it, you could really do whatever you want to do. Some mistakes I made and things that I wish I had known in the beginning. The first one is work in large pieces rather than small pieces with the adhesive remover. So the adhesive remover, people in the comments will say, make sure you work in pieces. Do work in pieces, but you can work in bigger pieces than you think. You have to let it sit for an hour and a half, 2 hours for it to work. So I wasted a lot of time working in small pieces and like putting a little on the floor, waiting 2 hours, putting a little on the floor, waiting 2 hours, putting a little on the floor, waiting 2 hours. Just go for it. Do a big piece, section your kitchen in 3 or 4 sections, and just go for it. That will save you a lot of time. 2, give everything proper time to dry and firm up before you move on to the next step. So in the sealing step, I had that tape that was on the wall, and I thought the seal was like 1 hour to become hard to the touch, 24 hours to totally seal. So I thought after a few hours, I could go and rip that tape up. But when I ripped the tape up, it actually ripped some of the seal up. So some of my edges and the seal had fused to the stain. So some of the edges in my kitchen just looked like bare concrete because it ripped up that seal in the way that it dried. And I'm gonna have to go back at some point in the future and restain and reseal those edge areas. So just be careful, follow the instructions on the bottle. Don't think you know better than the bottle. If it says 24 hours, wait 24 hours. But that goes into my next step. Send your family away. Send them away, because part of the reason why I started to kind of rush was because I felt bad that nobody in my family could go into the kitchen. Nobody could use the kitchen. It was really kind of like the first day was fine, the second day was fine, then the third day, and then the fourth day, and it was really becoming a lot. So if your family can go stay with aunts, uncle, cousin, grandma, hotel, anything for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days out of the process, it will make you less anxious in trying to get to the end, which will make it easier to be patient. This goes into the next thing. Think about what your family will eat before shutting down your kitchen. So I had to unplug my fridge. I had to clean out everything in my fridge because it had to be unplugged for some time while I tried to get behind it to clean it and get the floor out and do everything. And so we ended up spending a lot of money on takeout, because we couldn't cook and we couldn't use a refrigerator and everything like that. So we didn't think about that before we started this project, but we should have. So think about what you're going to eat before you shut down. Dog is barking. Kodak. Kodak. All right. So you want to test your colors before you do it. So maybe do a small section and see what your client says, the style that you want to do it in, before it dries, because once it dries, it's like you're done. Like you can't really remove it. It's staining the concrete. So you'd have to go through this whole process, paint, stripping, everything, like basically from the beginning again. So just ask them and test them and kind of make sure that you know exactly what they want. Um, Step two is you can always buy more than you need. I found at the hardware store, I went to Home Depot's and Lowe's multiple times, and basically anything that you don't use, as long as you have the receipt, they'll take it back and they'll give you your money back. It's really not that big of an issue. So buy more than you need. It's always easy to return things. It's very discouraging when you don't have what you need, and so then you have to stop and go to the hardware store to get something. And the last thing is be careful with that fucking frog tape. That shit is strong as fuck. It actually tore up the bottom of one of my cabinets because the wood was so old and the tape was so strong. As I was taking up the tape, it literally like peeled off wood with it. I don't know what the fuck was going on or why that tape was so powerful, but just be careful with it because it tore up the seal and it tore up the wood. So be careful when you place it, be careful when you take it off, make sure you let everything dry because it will take stuff with it and it's not supposed to do that. But I use just a regular blue painter's tape that I've used for all the other stuff in my house. I never have a problem taking it off, but this time it tore some stuff up, and that the bottom of my cabinets are old and I kind of need to replace those anyway. I did end up taking some off because they were just so old and rotten. But yeah, just be careful with that fraud tape. So all in all, I thought I would need $600. I actually need 575 for the materials and stuff. It was almost down to 400 because I didn't use some of the more expensive items. Like I didn't use that super expensive dye, super expensive degreaser. I didn't need as much adhesive stripper as I thought I would need. I didn't need as much etcher as I thought I would need. I didn't need concrete filler because there really were no holes and cracks in my floor. There was just a few small ones, and I was just like, I don't want to slow down my project for another day just to fill in these small ones. They're not bothering anybody. There was no like big cracks. Um, yeah, but I got it down to 400, but then I ended up spending almost $200 on food because we kept having to eat out for those days that I was doing the project. Total time needed, I thought I would need 2 days. I really needed 5 days. I started peeling the floor up on maybe Wednesday. Then Thursday, I really pulled the floor up. Friday, I was doing the adhesive remover and scraping everything. Saturday, I was still scraping everything. And then I did the sanding and the etching. And then on Sunday is when I did the staining. Um, the staining, and then you have to let the stain dry. And then I did the sealing, and then the sealing took about 24 hours to seal. And then I tried to take the tape up after 12 hours and that fucked it up. So I had to do a different seal, and it ended up taking me about 5 days. I think if I could go back in time, I probably could get this number down maybe to 3 days. Everything that I know now. It's also I had to keep going back and forth to the hardware store. But yeah, it was quite the project. So I hope this is helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. My kitchen is not that big. I don't think maybe I don't even know how to measure in square feet. I'm not even gonna try, but it's not that big. It's like a regular sized kitchen for a, 2-story, 4-bedroom family house. It's like a regular size. It's not enormous. It's not small. It's like a regular size. This is how much it cost me and how long it took. Um, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them below. I'll try to answer them or tell you what I did if I don't know the answer. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Okay, goodbye.